Hello, everybody, and welcome to College Football Wraparound. I'm Cooper Naylor. So glad that you could join us here tonight. And so, we do have some announcements about some special stuff going on here at the channel because we are expanding our outreach. And so, what does that look like? Well, we have now added a Rumble channel. So if you are someone who uses Rumble, well, you can now go to Rumble and find us at Saber Broadcast Network. So that is one big announcement about tonight, and I'm happy to be able to do that at the beginning of this year. And so I've got an introduction video I've got uploaded on there so far. So if you are if you're someone who uses Rumble, you will be able to find Saber Broadcast Network content on there as well. So just want to let y'all know that. And so tonight, what we're going to do is we're going to break down both playoff games. Then we're going to have a question and answers time right in the middle of the show. And then we're going to preview the national championship game. And that'll be it. Also, do want to mention that this week here on the channel, that tomorrow and Friday there's going to be some clips, some YouTube shorts that came from the live stream. So that'll be uploaded, and then Saturday and Sunday. So Saturday I'm going to be having the first half broadcast of the game. That's going to be uploaded, and then Sunday the second half. Also, for those on Rumble, that I'm not sure. I don't think it's up. I don't think our live stream's up on Rumble right now. But just wanted to say this, that for those who will be viewing on Rumble, you can get early access to the first half coverage of the broadcast because Friday is going to be the broadcast of the first half broadcast of the Michigan-Alabama game. And then Sunday, of course, same time for both Rumble and YouTube on that front. So, after all of that is said and done, we are now going to dive into Alabama and Michigan, which was a game that, I got to tell you, it was an historic Rose Bowl, in my opinion. If you want to know why, it was because of how close it was. And the fact of the matter is that, and this is just a little bit of history for you, but this is the first time since that Georgia-Oklahoma Rose Bowl matchup years ago in the playoff that the Rose Bowl that had the playoff game at the Rose Bowl. So, both games went to overtime. Of course, that game was 54-48. Georgia won it in overtime. So, of course, this game went to overtime as well. 27-20, Michigan wins. So, here is my thing that I saw here tonight. So, not tonight, but Monday night. Alabama, their offense struggled mightily. And anyone who tells me otherwise, I don't think that there's any validity to saying Alabama had a bright spark on offense, because there really wasn't, to be honest with you. Unless you want to look at look at Justice Haynes, who, I got to tell you, Justice Haynes, the few carries he got, he had a good game. I will say this, the Michigan defense had Alabama's number from the beginning. So that's my thing, is that Alabama came out and it was totally shifted in the mindset of Michigan was the team who had the experience, who had the momentum, I think, the whole game. And ultimately, I think when it comes down to who wanted it more, Michigan wanted it more. And Alabama, when they came out of that locker room to begin the game, they were shell-shocked by this Michigan team, to be honest with you. Now, you may be saying, oh, but Cooper, they got up to a 7-0 start. Well, it was also off a muffed punt for Michigan. So who knows what Michigan could have done with that drive had they not muffed the punt. So Alabama, I think, and here's the thing. Alabama to have gotten this game to overtime and had a shot to win it is impressive in everything, I will say. Because I think Michigan completely outplayed Alabama the whole night. And so I think what is some of the things that Alabama did wrong? A lot of people, and this is the people I think that I want to say that are afraid to call out Jalen Milroe. Let's call it for what it is. Yes, the snapping the snapping of the ball by the center was not good the whole night. It was so inconsistent. You would have good snaps, bad snaps, and it was no consistency. But at the end of the day, who does it fall on? Jalen Milroe. And here's the reason why it falls on Jalen Milroe. Because some quarterbacks are able to even though it may be a bad snap, they are able to figure out ways to weave around the defense and find a way to get better plays to happen for their team. That was not the case. Milroe, it felt like watching a guy who every time he got the ball, he was scared. And that's not how you're supposed to play the game. And that's not a quarterback. Now, here's the thing that really got me agitated at the beginning of it. Because here's my thing. I think being inappropriate and coming out with comments like he did, calling out Bill O'Brien before the Rose Bowl game, I think that was something that you need to look at and be like, oh, he shouldn't have said that. Because he really shouldn't have, folks. The fact he called out Bill O'Brien right before the playoff game. Now, I don't know if that gave extra motivation to Michigan at all. But it's bad timing because of the fact of you still got to go out there and play the semifinal game and prove to America why you're still why you think you're the best quarterback that was on the team. That's on the team. And so I think Jalen Milroe disappointed by what all these comments he tried to go out there and make. It's a disappointment, honestly, from Alabama's side of things. This game, I mean, there's not a lot to say other than Michigan was the better team. Michigan deserved to win the game. Michigan did everything better than Alabama. Now, you may be saying, okay, what about the special teams miscues? Well, that's the thing, though, is that they were able to overcome the special teams miscues and put that aside and be like, you know what? We're going to go win the game. And that's what they did. They went out and they just won the game. Now, Michigan's defense, I thought, played well. Alabama's defense, iffy. Missed assignments. Really, I think the majority of what you saw Monday night, it falls on Alabama and their inability to have understood the moment. And they didn't. It looked like they were still playing week one college football because there were so many things that Alabama did wrong that really these people who wanted Florida State to go to the playoff, well, maybe that could have gave them more, more bragging about, oh, look, Florida State should have been in. Even with a backup quarterback, they would have played better than what Alabama did. I don't know. I still think the committee got it right with these four teams. I mean, you got two great semifinal matchups, but Alabama just really did not show up to play. And really, here's the question. The big question here is, had that interception that was overturned which was reversed there at the beginning of the game by J.J. McCarthy, how much does that change the game? Now, you can't play hypotheticals like that because the game's over now. But, it is a good question about what does happen. So, like I said, there's not a lot to talk about Michigan because I will say they played better. That's really the whole story. They played a better game than Alabama. Alabama it really comes down to Alabama's offense didn't look good the whole night, and Alabama's defense didn't look good at all. Like, literally didn't look good at all. The fact that they only gave up 27 points is kind of a shocker, to be honest with you. So, it was a very interesting game, to say the least. And Michigan went out there, and they just proved why they are the better team. So, here is, now I'm going to turn my attention to Texas and Washington. And what a game that was. It was a game that defenses really weren't existent, and that's kind of what we thought, And so, what did this game look like? Well, for this game, I wanted to pull up some stats for you. And we look at your key. I don't know what that just did. There we go. Maybe come back in a second. All right. So having a couple little technical difficulties right there. Sorry about that, folks. So, getting back to this. Looking at the stats, Quinn Ewers, 318 passing yards, a passing touchdown, and then 54 rushing yards himself. Michael Penix, 430 passing yards, 2 passing touchdowns, 31 rushing yards for Michael Penix. So then you look at the first downs. Pretty even. Washington 25 to Texas 22. And then third down conversion efficiency. Washington was 3 of 11. Texas was 4 of 11. Fourth downs. Texas was 0 of 1. Washington 1 of 2. So total yards in this game. Washington 532. Texas 498. So I'm going to say this. I think in this game, Washington, and I think it comes down to Michael Penix was the fact that he got second place in the Heisman voting, I think this game proves to you why he probably should have got the first place. Because if you go back and watch the game, some of the ball placement on these passes, only very few quarterbacks can do that. He puts the ball right where it needs to go, and it's incredible to watch this guy. He's an incredible quarterback. Let me tell you that. And I think at the end of the day, the big thing here is that Washington played a better game. And clearly they won the game, but Michael Penix, he played a better game than Quinn Ewers. And ball placement is everything. Also, if you watch some of that film, Quinn Ewers, he had a bunch of plays where it was just incomplete. And it looked like he was trying to get the ball to his receiver, but then it was just a bad errant pass. And so, Washington, their defense, and I said this before the game, it was going to be who could make more plays on defense. Well, Washington made the plays. And so, you got to give credit where credit's due. Washington came out here and just won the game. And it was close. And Texas tried to come back in the fourth quarter, outscoring Washington 10-6, but wasn't enough. Washington would end up winning the game, and so now we sit here at this moment with a Michigan versus Washington national championship game, 1 versus 2. And comment below, but I can't remember the last time we got 1 versus 2 for the national championship like this. It's been a while, that's for sure. So, if anybody has the answer to that, please comment below on that. So right now, also I want to give a chance to you, the viewers, to comment and give your opinions. Also, I forgot to show this, but there is the bracket at this point in time after both playoff games on Monday. So as you can see, Michigan and Washington both have advanced to the national championship game. This is also the last playoff where you will see this model right here. Of course, after this week, and once we get to the offseason after the national championship, and once I start talking more about what is going on in the sport, then I will introduce to you the new 12-team bracket, what it will look like, just, kind of from a bracket standpoint, so that you get an idea of what it will look like. And so, going to be very interesting. But right now is your chance that if you have anything you want to ask me, go ahead. This is your chance. I'm going to answer some of the stuff at the beginning. Because Derek Sanford is asking me, are you a John Wayne fan? Yes. I love John Wayne, and the pictures were actually Christmas gifts from my brother. And so I really like John Wayne. He's got a lot of good movies. And so, yeah, I really like John Wayne. So, another question. Why did Bama run the ball on 4th and goal? That's a good question. Really, it's a good question. The play call, to me, I don't understand it. I thought it was a terrible call, in my opinion. Because, especially with how the center's been all game, I thought maybe, and also the way it was set up, I thought also what you could have done is that once Milroe, and really, again, I think it comes down to Milroe and his just, I guess, incompetence for that moment, in my opinion. And so I think what he should have done, if his receiver, because there was one at the bottom of your screen, if you're watching any of the film, but near the bottom of the screen where the scoreboard is laid out on ESPN, that his receiver, had he done like a slant route and cut towards the middle of the end zone, and if Milroe would have saw that, if it was possible, then I feel like he could have laid that ball right in there, touchdown Alabama, and then you got an extra point to kick, and then we could have had a second overtime in the game. So, I think it's something, if it was something you could have saw. But, Colton Naylor is asking me who will win it all. I'm going to preview Michigan and Washington here in just a minute, so I'll get my, you'll get my full take on this. Will Hank Brown be the starter for Auburn next year? I'm not sure. First of all, let me check, because I'm gonna check and see if Peyton Thorne's coming back, because I have a good. I'm gonna just check this real quick, because that's going to be the big key here. Because I think Hugh Freeze liked the offense with Peyton Thorne playing. So I'm going to just look this up real quick. And so I'm going to look this up real quick on my phone, if it will load. So I'm thinking that Thorne may be coming back. I can't really find anything right now. Here's my thing. If he does come back, then the big thing here is that I think he could possibly. Okay, he is. Okay. So I think it's his job until there is someone that comes in. Going back to your question about the Liberty quarterback, I don't know if he would come right now. It'd be interesting to see. I'm not sure though. Let's see. So let's see. Chris Naylor saying Milroe did not execute the last play. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty obvious. He didn't really execute the play, and it was a terrible play call, to be honest. Well, let me rephrase that. It's not a terrible play call when you have a quarterback like Jalen Milroe. The terrible part about it is when a guy like Jalen Milroe completely doesn't even execute the play. If you don't execute the play and you got nothing. So, I mean, I'll say this to all those Bama fans who may be watching and the ones who are trying to make you think Milroe is the answer, no, he is not. And here's the thing, because you have great coaches who are going to coach well, but you can call them out sometimes. And here's where Nick Saban is wrong here. Nick Saban needs to go back and realize Milroe is not the guy that you think he is. Because Saban thinks Milroe is this incredible quarterback. No. Milroe, and you've got a couple other quarterbacks on the roster right now that could be the starting quarterback. I think you need to go into the offseason and actually evaluate that. You truly do need to do that. I think the difference between Milroe and Jalen Hurts, though, that I see is that Jalen Hurts at the time, he at least, I felt, you could feel that he had the potential. I don't know if Jalen Milroe actually has any more potential to get any better unless he moves positions. So, let's go to another comment. Did you like the Pop-Tart Bowl this year? Pretty decent game between NC State and Kansas State. The only thing is, and I'm not gonna sugarcoat it for you folks. Any bowl game outside the playoff, I watch a few minutes of it and I'm just like, oh my gosh, this is just boring. It's because of the fact of the matter is, it's more like a scrimmage. Because you have a bunch of players who's opting out, and so I truly cannot get entertained to watch that game that may be part of the bowl season. I just can't, unless there's teams like Bo Nix playing at Oregon. He went ahead and played the bowl game. That bowl game I watched a few minutes of, like the last few minutes of the game. But here's my thing, is that I can't get myself to watch these bowl games with a full, 100% committed to watching these games, because the bowl games just don't matter anymore until they change something. I don't like the idea of expanding the playoff, but my thing is that the only thing that is going to help with the 12-team playoff is that some of these bowl games, like the Cotton Bowl and the Peach Bowl and the Orange Bowl and the Fiesta Bowl, that were not a part of the playoff cycle this year, that now, for the remainder of time, they will be part of the playoff cycle, and they will actually matter. That's the only thing that I think that will be helped by this, because if you're playing for a national championship, I don't think there's going to be players opting out. If that becomes a thing, then that's ridiculous. These student athletes are ridiculous if that starts happening. But if you're playing for a national championship, you should be playing in these playoff games. No questions about it, folks. All right. Let's get to another. Let's get to maybe one more question, and then that'll be. Let's talk about this. Will opt-outs be stopped ever? No, it's not. I think the thing is that the reason why they're never going to be stopped is because as long as there's these meaningless bowl games, and here's the thing, I blame all these people in the NCAA and all over media, as far as the current media that actually has the broadcast rights to continuing to add more bowl games. The viewer doesn't want to see a bowl game where you got third-string Florida State players playing against, a couple of starters from Georgia and then second-stringers. You saw that. Georgia completely obliterated Florida State in that game, 63-3. The thing that these people don't understand is, yes, you make a little bit of money from this, but you could make more if you're not making as much as what you could if the starters would play in these games. And so it's not going to stop. And here's the thing. You got too many bowl games as it is. I think what you got to do, and this is truly what I think you need to do, is that some of these bowl games, and I got it laid out in my mind, some of these bowl games, I think what you need to do is tell the FCS, you know what? We will give you some of these bowl games as part of the quarterfinal round, the semifinal round, and then the championship round. I think that's the way you got to do it. You get rid of some of the FBS teams that are mediocre and do not deserve a chance to be playing in a bowl game. Let me tell you something. You had this season, I believe it's Georgia Southern. They were a 6-6 team from the Sun Belt that not many people actually kept up with who they were, how they were doing. They got into a bowl game and got beat by Ohio by like 20 points in a game that they were never even close in. So here's my thing. You take, because it's a quarterfinal round, that's 4 bowl games, and you got 2 that are taken for a semifinal round, plus another that'll be taken for a championship. So right there is 7 bowl games that can be taken away out of the, get this folks, 43 in the FBS. Why do we need 43 bowl games? So you take 7 of those away, you got 36 remaining. Of course, that includes the playoff games and the national championship game. So now, you take 7 of ththose away, that is 7 teams that don't deserve a chance to be playing for any bowl game, takes them out. Minnesota was 5-7 and played a bowl game this year, folks. They were 5-7, and they played because there weren't enough 6-6 teams in the FBS. So, folks, when I tell you that some of this stuff, it could be fixed. It's not like they want to fix it. I don't think, from the NCAA side of things. And so, that's my thing. So, right there, you got 7 games that you can take and put in the FCS playoffs. That's 14 teams. Think about that. 86 teams play for a bowl game. Well, 84. So, if you want to, you can always do the math on that and see, you take 14 away, that's 70 teams. And so, that takes 6-6 teams that don't deserve, plus that 5-7 team. There you go. That solves some of it. But it doesn't solve opt-outs and everything else. But I've got to move on. I've been ranting a little bit on this, and so let's move on. I know there are some questions I didn't get to, but I do want to move on and talk about Michigan and Washington real quick. And I may come back to some questions at the end here. So we look at Michigan and Washington, and this game is going to be fun. The only thing I worry about is because Washington, to me, does not have that good of a defense. And so my question is, because I think that's going to be the big key here, because I think Blake Corum, J.J. McCarthy, the way, like his receivers as well, I think if Washington's defense doesn't find some way to figure out how to stop at least some of that Michigan could just blow the socks off of Washington in this game. I think that's I am being honest with you. I think Michigan could win by 20 or more if Washington's defense does not show up Monday night. Of course, we're going to have it here on Saber Broadcast Network for you, so you will be able to see the game. But I got to say this. Washington's defense is a concern of mine. And then I wonder, how does Michigan's defense play against Michael Penix? Because I will be honest with you, because I go back and look at Michigan's schedule all season. I don't think they've played a quarterback like Michael Penix yet. And you may be saying, what about Milroe? What about Milroe? Well, again, I've told you about Milroe. He didn't play good. He just didn't play good. Michigan knew what to do in the game. So here's the thing. Come Monday night, you got Michael Penix Jr., a guy who probably should have won the Heisman. He's going up against this Michigan defense. How does Michigan's defense do? Folks, I'm not going to give you a prediction about who I think is going to win the game because I'm going to be broadcasting it. So I am not going to give you a prediction here. But I will say this. I will predict a score. And I think this score, honestly, would fall into the I'll be honest, I think this falls into maybe like a 34-28 style game. I think there's enough defense played by both teams to keep it lower scoring than what it could be. But hey, 34-28, I think that's an appropriate score for this game. Plus, I think it's going to be a fun game. I don't know of any time during the 4-team playoff era that all 3 games were competitive and close. If you know the time, you can put it in the chat right now. But hey, I don't remember at all a time when all 3 games were close, competitive, and people were entertained enough to want to watch it. I think it speaks to the season because there's more than just one team that could have legitimately won the national championship game. Georgia actually probably should have been in it. What if Georgia played against Michigan in the Rose Bowl? What would have happened in the game? So that is my preview of the game. I think it's going to come down to defense. Which defense shows up more than the other defense? And whichever defense shows up more, well, that's the winner of the game. And that'll be your national champion for 2023-24. So, with that, let's get our final chat questions of the night because I just wanted to make this a quick stream because other than the playoff, there's really not much to talk about. So let's see. Chris Naylor's asking about 2018. Let me think. 2018. Let me look that up real quick. Okay. So in that 2018 playoff, the Oklahoma-Georgia game was close. It went to overtime 54-48. The only other game that was not close was Alabama and Clemson. Alabama just completely dominated Clemson 24-6 in the Sugar Bowl that followed. So, that answers that. So, also, one more question. Chat question from Derek Sanford. What is your favorite show or movie? Hard one, actually. But, as far as movie, it'd probably have to be like some John Wayne Western, like maybe The Alamo. That's one of my favorites. So that is the answer to that. So, folks, that is going to wrap this up for tonight. I want to thank you all for watching. Also, again, just want to plug this at the end. Like I said before, Saber Broadcast Network has expanded. We are now on Rumble and hoping that it can grow the audience between Rumble and YouTube. We can have a pretty good following. So if you have Rumble, then please go follow Saber Broadcast Network there, and so that we can get some, just to get a little engagement going. And I'm just happy to be able to expand because that was something I was really wanting to do, is expand, and so now we've been able to do it here at Saber Broadcast Network, and so I'm very thankful to be able to be given the opportunity to expand, and so just excited for what life with both YouTube and Rumble combined together to be one big, huge entity will be, and so and one thing I pinpointed at the beginning is that is that Rumble really didn't have a lot of college football content being produced on there. And so I wanted to offer a platform and something for those people on Rumble to find. And so that's what I'm going to bring is some college football content to Rumble. And so hopefully you will find some stuff over there that I may do as well so that both YouTube and Rumble can get going pretty well. So again, thank you for watching this tonight. And with that, we, of course, like I told you at the beginning, what our schedule is this week. And so our next live stream will be Monday night for the College Football Playoff National Championship game between Michigan and Washington. So with that, thanks for watching, everybody. Good night.
Hello, everyone. Tonight, I am here to tell you that we have a special deal for you coming up with Saber Broadcast Network. We are going to be doing a buy one, get one free kind of sale. So, what kind of sale could I tell you it is? We will be selling t-shirts, Saber Broadcast Network t-shirts, and what comes free? This special little coaster, Saber Broadcast Network coaster you can use to sit your drink on. So, if you want some good, high-quality material in a shirt and a nice little coaster to come free, then we have a community post that we'll be putting out, and we will tell you all about it and where to contact and everything about it. So hope that you will consider getting this item as part of your collection.